Oh, hello.
Hi,
Hello there.
Hi. Oh man, we
and we're
finally did
back.
this. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, hello to everyone who's watching and who's going to watch this someday, sometime. Welcome to the podcast. It's called On the Inside, and we have a little tagline, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
called Exploring the Colors of Our Inner Lives. Yeah, it's something the three of us wanted to do for quite a while now. It's been a while in the planning. And we're so glad to have our very first episode. So I think we should just start off by introducing ourselves and really telling people why we want to do something like this and what we hope to, to get out of this entire thing. Right. Ladies first.
Gosh, it's midnight. I have a brain freeze, and yeah, I mean, we're like really excited about this, but then now that it's actually happening, it's so strange. Because we're like doing this long distance as well. Yeah, so yeah, what was I supposed to say? I forget now.
Introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
okay, all right. So my name is Amerie, and I'm a clinical psychologist. Todd has heard that a zillion times because I've done so many intros together with him. Yeah, we're really excited about this because we're all really passionate about, I guess, like our inner lives. About psychology, about inner growth, about learning, inspiring, and generally helping people lead more meaningful, fulfilling lives. Yeah, so really excited to be here, and yeah, that's pretty much it for me at midnight.
At midnight.
Yeah, at midnight.
And you're calling in from where?
I'm calling in from Singapore.
Hey.
Yes, surprise, surprise. Even though I'm in like a hoodie and all.
I'm in a
Yeah,
jacket.
just yeah, I know, deceiving, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Emery. Nico.
Yeah. So I'm calling in from France. I think it's important to state it in case it's not obvious from my accent. Um, how are you doing, guys? Yeah. So I'm really quite excited as well. I hope, the podcast can be like a free flow space to talk about all those essentially everything that goes on inside us, and that really changes the way we deal with people around us, and whatever life throws at us. And on the side note, so that's also my professional interest. So I teach meditation, and I also provide I'd say spiritual guidance to people who are not religious in the context of meditation. So I get to talk to people about those aspects of inner life, and I think it's great to be able to share that more widely. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, so it's my turn now. So hi everyone. My name is Sean. I started my career as a pharmacist and later move on to specialize in smoking cessation. Started a company. I designed the one of the national youth smoking cessation programs, and since then I've moved on to other ventures. We still do a lot of mental health programs. I've worked with Emory on a mental health program for youth. It's our passion, and one of the things I've always hoped for is for people to feel more at peace with themselves, to be able to gain clarity, and to just if they're going through a tough time, to be able to be brave enough to come forward. And so that sparked my passion in the work that I do. Through this, I'm just hoping to be able to share some of my thoughts. Sometimes people ask me, how come I have so many things to say sometimes? It's actually because I started writing diaries at a very young age. So, and through those diaries, I tend to try my best to articulate how I feel. And hopefully through this particular sharing, I'll be able to share some of my thoughts, especially on some of the topics that we are going to discuss. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so very nice to meet whoever's going to be here to join us.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Actually, who are we talking to? Right now.
Right, like what at this point right now?
Yeah, right now. Yeah. I mean, it's my first time doing this, so are we just talking to space or?
Well, is that a technical question or like
So
Yeah, well,
you're wondering how many people are watching? Is that
no, I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, look, I'm incoherent at this point. I mean, just to give some context, we had, like an hour before we started setting up, and so we're like brainstorming for some ideas and themes, right? And yeah, I guess that's where my brain juices sort of surrendered for the day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we
That's
did have an idea of how we were going to plan out the next 5-6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want to share a little bit about what those ideas are and how we actually came about?
Right. So we are going to be looking at different themes every episode, and
Yeah.
it'll be centered around specific emotions. Yep. So that's going to be how the next few episodes will, look like. Um, every specific episode with a specific emotion that we'll kind of dive deep into, and I mean, we want to have spoilers, or are we going to introduce them as we go?
Why not we introduce the next episode, just the very first emotion that we are going to discuss?
Right. So we are going to talk about love, right? Yeah, Sean, you're giggling. Why is that?
It's such a complicated
yeah.
emotion, right?
I think it's a great idea to start with a really small topic, manageable and stuff. I think strategically it was a very good choice from us.
Yeah. I mean, it is
But
massive, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and do you have an idea of like which angle that you like to approach the emotion from? Because there are so many kinds of love, right? There's self-love,
Mhm.
there is love for someone else, and just any preliminary thoughts before we go into the actual episode, the next round. Nico, any thoughts?
Well, we did have a discussion on that. I don't think we've made the decision yet, but have we? I don't know.
Is there a
No.
particular is there a
I-
particular area of or angle that specifically interests you when it comes to the topic
So-
of love?
Yes. So I think what I myself would consider more like immediately relevant would really be self-love. Like, because we had like a pretty difficult year. And so I think it's it had big effects on mood, our relationship. Many of things that made us like essentially happy, and we used to reward ourselves with. We used to try to bounce back when we're faced with difficulty are not available anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to get access with food. I mean we have access with food, but we cannot, like, in many places dine with friends and so on. So it was quite challenging. So I think it's kind of like forces us to look like elsewhere for that kind of like maybe sometimes attention, care. And I think it's hard, but we don't really have a choice but to look inwards, even as much as it's a challenge. Yeah. So I think that's why it's important and relevant, and I think also just helpful, even just as a reminder, because I think we're all trying to find out how to do that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks. Amerie, is there any particular angle about the topic of love that specifically interests you?
Yeah, I mean, that's where we probably differ. Not that, self-love is not important, but I think for me, I've always been very fascinated with romantic relationships. I mean, that was what really drove me to pursue psychology, since I was
Oh,
a
really?
teenager. Yeah. I thought you knew that story, right?
No.
No? Yeah, so I was always fascinated, right? Like, why did my dad move completely to a different country for my mom, like what was this thing love about, right? How could it, be such a huge driving force? How could it really get someone to really uproot themselves and, you know, dive into a completely foreign place, right? And it fascinated me, right? And how was it like people from different cultures could come together and make it work? I mean, all of these were questions, in my head when I was a teenager, and I needed to understand, right? And so that really kind of pushed me along this whole journey of being curious about relationships and yeah, really understanding what it means when it comes to attachment, things like that. I mean, I feel like, I could go on and on about this, but I'll stop myself. Um, but yeah, you get the gist.
Yeah, I think where I stand is probably a blend of both of your interests, because I've always been interested in this idea of love in relationships, because um, Emery would know it's been a challenging year in terms of relationships for me. So I mean, I've always asked myself, even not just before this year, but like things like, can someone ever be their true selves, when they're in love with another person? Questions like that, right? Because you want to, at the start, you might want to impress somebody, and then after that, there's this constant seek of validation. Can you ever really be yourself if you are in love, right? And at some point in time, it's also important to ask yourself what's important to you. It's not always about the other person, right? So that's where self-love actually comes in. So that's it's kind of a blend between both your interests. Yeah, so it looks like we're going to have a very interesting real first episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are at about 14 minutes. So I think maybe we'll just leave a little bit of time for everyone just to share about your wish, what you hope for this podcast as we embark on this pretty interesting journey. Yeah. Nico, you want to go first?
Yeah. I'm glad I'm going first because I haven't really spent time thinking about that, but I can come up with something really quick. No, it's to me, I think so. Really, the first thing that came to mind was like, if we can, by having those conversations about like, what's going on inside, and being maybe as open as we can be, and sharing with like difficulties and or not. I mean, all things that really work well for us and everything. I hope we can inspire people to do the same, like speak more freely and normalize, speaking about what's going on with you in everyday life, like, and not just, having to hide it behind the front of like, that person who's always okay, even when we're not. Or maybe also that person that doesn't dare to show enthusiasm or care or love for someone, or when they could. So I think that's why I liked, the show to
All right.
bring to
By the
people.
way, thanks, Nico. We have actually one viewer. Whoever you are, drop us a message and say hi.
Yes, please do.
Thanks for joining us. You're our very first viewer.
Nice.
Yeah. So thank you. All right. Emery, any thoughts you have or any wishes you have for this podcast as we begin this journey?
Yeah, I think Nicole stole my lines about that being inspirational, and gosh, I'm really tongue tied right now, and that's not normal. Right, I actually drank coffee before this, but I don't know, it's not working. So I think we are all about being authentic. I mean, people who know me would know that this is a very important value of mine, authenticity, and we are going to just show up as ourselves. I mean, clearly, we're not going to have like scripts or we're like just regular down to earth people trying to make sense of life as much as everyone else is. And we just want to show that it's okay to just be who you are, and to embrace vulnerability, because we're humans, we mess up sometimes, right? Even in this podcast, I probably am rambling and I sound probably a bit dorky, and that's okay, right? um And I think this is kind of the spirit we want to maybe share with people, that, we're all just trying to make life a little bit better, right? So hopefully this could be a platform to inspire, and, hopefully someone could get some new ideas from how to make their lives a little bit easier or more meaningful.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
We have our first message is from Kenneth. He says, "Hello, everyone." Yay. Hello, Kenneth.
Hi, Kenneth.
Thanks for joining us. Okay, so for myself, I think my commitment to this project would be to share very openly, to be vulnerable. I'm happy to share my thoughts, share my stories, and I think that hopefully through my sharing, or every one of our sharings, if you hear this and you hear maybe some of the struggles that we go through sometimes, you realize that you're not alone, that people who see some of us as, oh, we are professionals, but we are also human. We also go through emotions. We also go through ups and downs. And if through some of the things we say, you find some peace, you find some solace, you find some clarity, I would be very happy with that. And just to put a little bit of a smile on anyone's face, that would be very nice. Yep. Okay. So thank you, everyone. We're going to end soon. Thank you, Kenneth, for joining us in our very first episode. We'll be back 2 weeks later, right, for the first topic on love. So we hope you join us, and look out for the scheduled broadcast notice. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good night,
Bye-bye.
wherever you are.
Night.
Bye-bye.